I told him it was fine for my male friend to sleep in the same bed as me, and my husband did not argue. He just looked at me like he had already made up his mind, turned around and vanished before dawn. No slammed door, no fight, no warning, just an empty side of the bed, his keys missing from the hook by the kitchen, and my phone lighting up with a missed call from a number I did not know. We lived in Phoenix, in a narrow apartment off 7th, street where the air conditioner rattled all night, and the hallway always smelled like old cooking oil and bleach. My husband, Nolan, liked order more than people. He kept our receipts in neat stacks, folded shirts by color, and never raised his voice unless he was sure someone was listening. So when I let my friend Chris crash in our bed after his truck broke down outside, Tempe, I expected at least a sharp comment, maybe a cold stare, maybe one of those quiet speeches Nolan loved so much. Instead, he just stood there in the doorway, watched Chris put a pillow on the far side of the mattress, and said, "Do what you want." That was the first thing that felt wrong. The second was that Nolan was gone the next morning. I stood in the kitchen in my socks, staring at his coffee mug still sitting in the sink. The black ring at the bottom dried in place. My hands shook so hard I had to grip the counter. I checked the closet. His work boots were missing. I checked the bathroom. His razor was gone too, which made no sense because he shaved every morning whether he needed to or not. I called his phone once, twice, then kept calling until my throat went tight and I had to stop. It went straight to voicemail. He had even taken the charger from the nightstand. Chris was still asleep on the mattress, fully dressed except for his shoes. When he woke up and saw my face, he sat up fast and rubbed both eyes like he thought he was dreaming. "Renee, what happened?" "I don't know," I said, but my voice came out thin and wrong. That was the truth. I did not know, but I knew Nolan, and this did not feel like him leaving in a mood. This felt planned. I kept replaying the night before. Chris had shown up around midnight, sweaty and exhausted, with a dead battery and a cracked phone screen. His apartment lease had ended the week before. His paycheck was late, and he needed one night while he waited for his sister in Tucson to answer her calls. Nolan had been in the living room when I told him. He had looked at Chris, then at me, then at the bed we shared every night. No anger, no argument, just that same flat, unreadable face. "No problem," he had said. Except now I could hear the pause before it, as if he had been waiting for me to say exactly the wrong thing. By lunch, I was sitting in a booth at a diner on Camelback, barely touching my eggs while Chris leaned across the table and said, "He's not just mad, is he?" I stared at him. He lowered his voice. "Your husband asked me about him before." "What?" "Me, my schedule. Where I worked, whether I still talked to my ex." He swallowed. He did not ask like a normal guy asking about a friend. He asked like he was building something. My skin went cold. I sat back so fast the vinyl squeaked under me. My fingers curled around the coffee cup, but I did not drink it. I just held it because I needed something solid in my hands. Nolan had asked Chris questions before I ever mentioned him staying over. That meant this was not about one night. It was about a plan already in motion. I went home and opened Nolan's laptop, which he had left on the desk. It was locked at first, but his password was still the same old one, the date of our wedding, which almost made me laugh in a broken, ugly way. Inside his email, I found messages to a law office downtown, not a full divorce filing. Not yet, just notes, drafts, and one file with a name that made my throat tighten. Evidence package. He had been collecting screenshots of my text to Chris, of grocery receipts, of a photo Chris had posted from his old apartment 2 years ago. Nolan had enlarged everything, highlighted phone numbers, and written little comments in the margins like a man. Building a case against a stranger, my face felt hot, then numb, then hot again. I sat there blinking too hard, hearing my own breathing, hearing nothing else. He had not vanished because he was hurt. He had vanished because he was preparing to make me look guilty. Then I found the storage receipt tucked inside a folder of old tax papers. The unit was in Mesa, behind a faded chain-link fence and a security camera that looked like it had not worked since 2019. Chris came with me because I refused to go alone. When the door rolled up, the smell hit first. Dust, hot metal, and old paper. Inside were 3 suitcases, 2 boxes of our wedding gifts, and a black folder tied with a rubber band. My knees actually weakened when I opened it. Inside was a marriage license, not mine. Nolan's name was on it, clear as day, beside a woman I had never seen before. Tessa Bell, married in Nevada 3 years after he married me. I could not make my mouth work. I just stood there, staring, while Chris muttered, "No way!" under his breath and backed up until his shoulder hit the wall. My ears started ringing. Everything in me went still, like my body had shut one door after another because it could not bear to open the next one. There were more papers under the license, lease agreements, a joint bank application, a copy of a driver's license with a different address. Nolan had been living 2 lives so carefully that he had paperwork for both. And then I saw the note. It was folded into quarters and written in his neat, hard handwriting. "If she ever brings another man into our bed, I have what I need." That was the moment my fear changed shape. Not because he was jealous. Because he had been waiting for the chance to call me careless, unfaithful, unstable, anything that would make people doubt me long enough for him to walk away with the house, the savings, and the story. He had set the trap before Chris ever came to town. The vanishing act was not panic. It was timing. We found him 2 days later at a gas station off I-17, sitting in his truck with the engine, running, and a cup of coffee on the dashboard. He looked thinner, like he had not slept, but when he saw me, his face did not change. That almost made me laugh. He still thought he was in control. "You went through my things," he said. I held up the Nevada license. His eyes flicked to it, then away. "Who is Tessa?" I asked. He said nothing. "That woman in the second marriage license?" My voice broke on the last word, and I hated that it did. I hated that he still had the power to make me sound small. "You married her while you were married to me." His jaw tightened. He looked past me, past Chris, toward the store window like he was searching for another exit. That was the first time I saw fear on his face. Real fear. Not the polished kind he used at home. Chris stepped forward and said very calmly, "You should not have put your own evidence in a storage unit." Nolan stared at him, then at me. His hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles had gone white. For 1 second he looked less like the man who had ruined my life, and more like a man who had finally run out of roads. I filed first. The house stayed with me, because the paperwork, he thought, would bury me, turned out to prove he had lied about nearly everything. Tessa testified. So did the storage clerk. So did Chris, even though he hated attention and kept apologizing whenever he had to speak. Nolan stopped calling after the hearing. He vanished for real after that, the same way cowards do when the room stops belonging to them. Still think about that night in the bed, about how calm he was when I told him Chris could stay. I thought he was being forgiving. I thought I was seeing restraint. He was not forgiving. He was counting. And that is what scares me most now. If he had not disappeared, how long would it have taken me to see the trap he had already built around me?
Thank you all for the bottom of my heart for staying till the end of this story. Your support truly meaning everything to me, and your love keep me going. Thank you.